The purpose of this video is just to discuss kind of the pros and cons of a partial claim or a deferment versus a loan modification. If you are a subscriber to my page, welcome back. If not, make sure you subscribe. If you have a comment or a question, write that for me below. If you have something in particular you want me to record a video on, I'm having a lot of people start to let me know what they want. I am trying to get to you guys as fast as possible, but I always love hearing from you. I want to make sure that my content is actually helping people out there, so let me know what you want to see. But I'm getting this question a lot right now, right? So most of you out there who are watching this probably were on some sort of COVID forbearance plan with your lender, and then it has become time to transition off of your COVID forbearance plan, and you're calling the lender, you're having these conversations with them, they're asking you these questions, and then at a certain point, they're going to tell you, these are the different options, and then they'll kind of say to you on the phone, which one do you want? There are videos on this page breaking down each of the individual options, but a question I'm hearing all the time is kind of what's the difference between a partial claim or a deferment, and like, is that better or worse than a modification? Should I take a modification? What do I do? Right? Because a lot of you, especially if you have Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or FHA, at the end, they're going to kind of say, well, you could do this, which is usually a deferment or a partial claim, or you can do a modification. So the first thing to understand is a deferment and a partial claim means essentially the same thing. The difference between them is the investor that's backing them. So if you have FHA, FHA is going to refer to what they're talking about as a partial claim. If you have the enterprises, which is Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac as your investor, they're going to call this option a deferral or a deferment. And so when you speak to them, they're going to use this language. So it's good to just know if they're saying partial claim, you probably have an FHA loan. If they're saying deferment, you probably have Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. The best thing you can do is really know who your investor is before you start this process. There's other videos on this page kind of helping you understand who they are and how you can find them. But anyway, a partial claim or a deferment is a way for you to just resume making regular payments on your original mortgage with your original terms that you took out before you went on the COVID forbearance. So let's say you missed a year's worth of payments in your forbearance. You were on a 12-month COVID forbearance. If you take a partial claim option or a deferment option, they're going to take that chunk of money, the 12 years that you missed, they are going to make it due on the maturity date of your original loan, right? There's no new extended date. There's no new terms of your loan. So if you were originally on a 30-year mortgage and you have about 10 years left on your mortgage, your partial claim gets added to the end of the loan and becomes due in 10 years, right? Because that's however much time you have left on your original mortgage. It's a non-interest bearing amount. They should not be collecting interest on it in any manner. It just kind of hangs out and sits there, and then you have to deal with it in some way when your loan matures, either through a refinance or a sale or, whatever, pay it off. So then the partial claim, the amounts you missed go to the end, kind of. You stay on your regular term, and then you resume making your original mortgage payments that you were paying before the COVID forbearance plan. So this is a good option if you just want everything to stay the same and you just want to go back to your regular mortgage payments that you were paying. Same for the Fannie Mae deferment, same for the Freddie Mac deferment. They take the chunk, they put it on the end, you're back on your original mortgage. You shouldn't be signing brand new loan documents in a huge packet. They will probably send you, the ones that I've seen are 2 to 3 pages long. The agreement will be 2 to 3 pages. It'll be simple. It'll say you agree to a deferment. Here's your new payment amount and your new payment date. But that payment amount will be very, very close, if not identical to what you were paying before COVID, as long as that was what was provided for in your original contract. So the reason that people like these partial claim deferment options is because they don't want anything to change. They don't want their term extended. They're fine with their interest rate. They can afford their monthly payment, and they want to continue making the same progress that they were making on their mortgage before COVID. And I run into this with a lot of homeowners. This is very reasonable for them to want. The payment is affordable for the household, and they can continue to pay off their loan in the amount of time that they were set up to pay it before COVID. So overall, I understand why people want this option. The loan modification options, and again, it's called different things depending on which investor you have. Fannie Mae calls it a flex mod. FHA calls it a recovery modification. VA calls it the VA. I'm not even gonna, the VA term is somewhere in the VA video, but they have a different words in front of it depending on who your investor is. But overall, they're loan modifications. And so these loan modification programs recently came out at the end of August, and many of them are aimed for people who have financially recovered from COVID, but they haven't financially recovered so much so that resuming that regular payment is what their household needs. And so the modifications write you an entirely new agreement. It's not a way to get current on your original mortgage or just kind of fix everything and then resume payments. It's a new contract. And some people choose this because it is a way for the payment to go down. What the banks will do is they will look to see if they can extend the term of your loan. Some of the programs allow for the lowering of an interest rate, and some of the programs allow for some principal reduction. So most commonly, some of these flex modifications are actually getting pushed out to a 40-year term. So they're all, depending on who the investor is, right, they're all going to come back a little bit differently. But the reason that people choose loan modifications is because they want that lower monthly payment. Now, it's not always going to be significantly lower. $200, $300 a month is kind of what I've been seeing as the approvals are rolling in. I did have one person just get approved from Loan Care who had a $400 a month reduction, which is great. And so the benefit of a loan modification, right, is that the payment goes down. And so you're not making as much of an obligation, but you do probably have to make that up in some way, right? So if they like extend the term of the loan, some people don't like that. They don't want to be put on a new 30-year contract, right? If they've already paid some people don't like to have a new principal balance that's higher. But some people it's a great option for, especially if they were kind of early paying on their mortgage. It can reduce the interest rate and lower the payment. So that's kind of what people consider when they're kind of choosing between the two. I got a question on YouTube the other day that says, if you choose one option and then you see the offer and you don't like it, can you go back and choose a different option? And the answer right now is I don't know yet. I haven't had anybody actually try to do that. I would assume that you can, but it's not expressly provided for in the guidelines that have been released from the investors. So stay tuned. I will let you know. I'm sure that'll happen to somebody that I'm working with, and then I will post a video around how to go back and fix it. But the good news is the lenders will, for the most part, go over the kind of approximate proposed terms with you so you can understand how much money will be added for a partial claim or how much money you will have to spend per month on a monthly payment if you go through a modification. So before you agree to go through review for those options, you should be able to kind of hear what they might be and then agree in kind of an informed way. Good luck.